This episode has been sponsored by BetterHelp. I don't have time. I can heal on my own. Why should I do it? Stop. S, stop, don't move a muscle. T, take a step back. O, observe the situation. P, proceed with caution. This is just one of the steps I learned in therapy to help improve self-doubt and procrastination. BetterHelp can be your guide for a better understanding of emotions and improve your quality of life.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/hourglass today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/hourglass.
The Hourglass Podcast. The time is now.
Hey, Hourglass Podcast. The time is now.
The now or never, baby.
What you waiting on? The time is now. What you waiting on?
She got a body like an hourglass.
Podcast.
Hello, this is the Hourglass Podcast. The time is now, and I'm below. And I would like to introduce a special guest for today, Miss Jamira Trapp. She is a detective with over a decade of experience in law enforcement.
Hey, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Jamira Trapp, and I can't wait to discuss today's topic with you.
Great. I'm glad that you can be here right here to discuss this topic because it's a good one, and it's a much needed topic to discuss about. Yes, it is. And our topic is for today is who, what, when, where, and I see you. Do you see me, Jamira?
Yes, I do.
I see you.
I see you very clearly.
That's good right there. So with saying that I see you, it's a lot of things that we go through as people on a daily basis. And I want to say 1 in every 8 person in the world lives with a mental disorder. And that is to bring knowledge to the situation.
Yes.
And that is. And with that being said, we want to go through something that we deal with on a daily basis every day as far as with civilians and law enforcement. Since we have a person that has experience in the law enforcement field, it's a thing with depression that happens. And when every 8 person live with a mental disorder, it's a challenge sometimes. Once you say it's a challenge to actually I want to say like this, not fall in line, like you got to respect authority. You are there for a reason to uphold the law.
Yes.
Not to abuse it, to uphold it. Yeah. But there's some individuals out there that, they use their powers for the wrong reasons, though. Yes. But I think, could you speak more into that?
Yeah, everything I'm sharing is from my experience and not representing any department.
Understandable.
And, just from my personal experience of being a minority woman, working in law enforcement and working in a predominantly Black or brown community, I see what my uniform has represented. The resistance, the fear automatically just from the vehicle, everything. And so that really got me intrigued and to want to know, like, why are people having this reaction? And it's really a trauma response from post-traumatic stress. Because like you just stated, there are some people who represent, authority or work in law enforcement who have unfortunately abused their powers, which makes it bad for people who are trying to just simply enforce the law or solve crimes. So it's definitely a much needed topic because it's not separate, like people's experience impact them and how they interact in their daily life. So if you have a bad experience and the next time you see someone who represents that, who triggers that memory, if you haven't properly processed it, you're going to have a trauma response, and you may behave a certain way that may not represent that can actually not create value. It can create more tension than what you just because it's a trauma response. Am I making sense?
No, it does, because you have to look at it from each person and their experience. As you just said, it's a trauma response. So you have to look at what happened before the experience that they did have coming into interaction with law enforcement at an early age. It might have been a bad experience, and they take that, and people will take those experiences, instead of like working them out, instead of talking to somebody, instead of going to actually seeing someone to actually like, hey, get it off their chest, coming, because as in the minority community, we are taught to just accept certain things.
Yes.
And just let them keep going.
Yes.
And that's troubling, because it actually causes us to bottle up so much stuff, which leads to an individual increasing the health risks as well. Mental health is definitely something that you have to expand upon.
Yes.
And
like when you said, I want to just be clear, like when we say trauma response, like trauma is a triggering word for me, and I look at it as just also another term for unprocessed emotions.
Yes.
So you have an experience, and even if you didn't have a direct relationship, bad experience with a person in law enforcement, you could have been young and seen a family member or an older sibling, and that could have been left and deeply impressed in your memory. And so, like you just brought up, where as minorities, we're taught to just kind of internalize things and just be strong and go on. But that accumulation of unprocessed emotions has a person who can have a reaction, as opposed to just, being present in that moment. And that's something that is not really discussed or talked about. And I'm really passionate about bringing that awareness. Like, just because, when you get into an argument with someone and they'll be 50 years old and you're like, stop acting like a kid. And they really just got triggered to their 5-year-old self. And we've all had that experience where someone's so triggered, you have to tell them to calm down. And it takes them a while to get back to this present moment. And you're like, this wasn't even that serious. But it could have triggered something from when they were younger that was not properly processed.
And I would like to bring, and that's a great point that you just brought up, a great point you brought up, because I want to actually go back to say with that, when you see an authority figure, it's like, hey, you go back to your adolescence, when you see somebody talking to you in a tone, and I want to say, go back to like the law enforcement, you see somebody talking in a certain way, it's all about just the training to know how to deal with mental health, because you have individuals that's out there, because everyone has something going on in their mind. We all just know how to cope with it better than others.
Yes.
That's, in my opinion, that's what I believe. And is that you, with the proper training and everything, you can assess every situation in a correct way, where it don't have to be that just straightforward, like, you need to do this, you need to do that, let me grab you, put you there. No, it's like, it's a triggering, a trauma response. It's triggering, very triggering. And that's what triggers the depression and anxiety right there. And it can just come up at any moment.
Yes. And you just said, even with training, like the department can provide a ton of training, but if you don't also provide the members in law enforcement with resources to properly process their emotions from the traumatic incidents that they're supporting the citizens in, that is, now you have two groups of people where it becomes volatile, each and every interaction, because just because a person has been properly trained does not mean that their emotions have been properly processed. And so I'm very passionate about learning tools to regulate your nervous system. And like you said, everyone has a different way of coping with when people say, I don't got no issues, I don't got no mental, it's like a spectrum. It goes from low to high, and, or mild to moderate to severe. And the more you age without proper tools to support you, or you're not in an environment that supports you doing things to regulate yourself and deal with your emotions, it can slowly move up to a severe situation, and that goes on the same as opposite spectrum of law enforcement. So.
It definitely does. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Even when you got the proper training, you might need to go a little bit further, and that's where some help will need to get involved. BetterHelp is a company that puts you in place where you can actually talk to a therapist. It doesn't mean that you can't if you get your words out to an individual, to a family member, to a friend, you might need somebody with an unbiased opinion.
Yes.
Give BetterHelp a try. Therapy can provide support and coping mechanisms for those experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder. Regular therapy sessions can help officers maintain overall mental well-being, ensuring they perform their duties effectively and safely. The demanding nature of police work can lead to burnout. Therapy can help officers recognize signs of burnout and develop strategies to prevent it. And also, therapy can help officers improve their communication skills and manage relationship challenges. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/hourglass today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/hourglass.
Yes, that's a good. I'm glad you're really encouraging people to support their mental and emotional needs, because even just talking to someone is the first step. We're not here to exist alone, and to allow yourself to receive support is the best form of self-care.
That is. And that's the thing, self-care. People don't take the time to get a mental break. You have to get a mental break. Even when going out there this with civilians going out in the world with law enforcement, it has to be a part where you detach. And it can sometimes be hard to just detach and go back to the civilian world, because the law enforcement officer has to go back to being a civilian after they are not on duty anymore. And I know that can be a very hard thing to do once you've had the training and everything. When you're trained to look for certain things, that just doesn't stop. Yeah. You just can't just shut that off. It's a part of you now.
Yes. I mean, it does take you have to become very intentional with unwinding. You don't want you can be exhausted and you get off work, but your nervous system has to decompress and get back into the present moment. So, a lot of things you have to, I sometimes have to take a walk after work, or take a bath, or just, not be on my phone, just really leave different things that can be distracting and keep your mind ruminating, and just be intentional with being in the present moment. And it's even something so simple, like I love essential oils, so lemongrass and lavender, my diffuser. I have it at my desk at work. I have it in my home. It just gets me back into my body and just relax. Like, okay, this is just, the day is over with. Now you can focus on other things.
That is true. And I like the part where you say the soothing, take a bath, or maybe even listen to some music. Like music says, it's more than just soothing the savage beast now. It actually to get us back in tune with the universe again. Yes. So we got to get our frequencies in order. The frequency has to be in order.
Yes.
So that's a good thing to unwind. But like anything, like go on a trip, family vacation, take vacation. I know it could be hard sometimes because it's as short as a staff out here, and the long hours and everything, and get to everybody. So just not regular people working regular jobs have long hours. Law enforcement has long hours. They're trying to get out there to get the manpower, the woman power out there to definitely keep us safe.
Yes. And also, I'm glad you mentioned the word frequency and just being present. For me, I'm a practitioner of Nichiren Buddhism with the SGI USA, and I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which means I fuse my life with the mystic law of cause and effect through sound. So for me, chanting gets me really back instantly into the present moment. That's our form of prayer. And so for anybody out, the listeners, just also, when you come from a demographic background that we're discussing that has these challenges and preconceived notions around mental health and the stigma, sometimes you really have to use a prayer to really penetrate and break through those mental barriers, to give you the courage to say, let me go seek better help. Let me call, let me try, let me just invest in myself, because these are demographics that are just like being in law enforcement. You're told to be strong, go on. This is your job. This is what you signed up for. You can't have a weak moment, and per se. But as long as to break those stereotypes is really, for me, like to really just a chance to really, know that I'm worthy and deserving of receiving support. And that has really allowed me to become open to different modalities. And like what the BetterHelp ad that you read was saying, like, if one therapist doesn't work out, you can easily change at no cost. And I like that, because if you have a doctor and that's not working out, you're going to go see someone else. So that's the same way with your physical, your mental and emotional needs as well.
That's great. And I'm glad you mentioned up there, said you do, because you practice Buddhism.
Yes.
And people may just need to just meditate.
Yes.
Just meditate, pray. You have to come within yourself.
Yes.
So it's about like taking the time to actually to do that self-care. That's part of it. To do that self-care, to sit back and just take in everything.
Yes. And that's challenging, because we live in a world that's constantly bombarding us with a lot of distractions.
I really enjoyed that talk, Jamira. I thank you for coming on the Hourglass. And we got to get you back on again soon. Though. We got to get a part 2 to this.
Yes, anytime.
Yeah,
I love talking about mental health and dismantling the stigmatisms around mental health and really reminding people that they're worthy and deserving of receiving support and, utilizing the resources that you're providing. You're giving a discounted link to people to just say, hey, in the comfort of their home or vehicle, wherever they are. So that is something I want to encourage and challenge people to at least be open and receptive to.
Okay, understandable. People have to be, and the thing about it too, people have to be receptive to the help. You got to go out there and get the help. You got to seek the help out there too. That's a big thing amongst us in the minority community. We're not taught to go out there to actually seek help, to actually speak to a therapist. Mm-hmm. So definitely get out there and just talk to somebody. Just talk to a friend, talk to a family member. You have to express yourself in a good way. Yes.
Thank you. So hit me up anytime, and I'll be happy to be back.
Oh, definitely. I will. I'll tell everybody how they can follow you. You have a page, Instagram, IG.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's Mira Thinks Rich, MiraThinksRich. Mira Thinks Rich. That's my handle because you got to think rich. You got to think valuable. You got to think that know that you're worthy and deserving of the life that you want. And sometimes you're going to need professional support to have your dreams achieved.
And that is it. That is all, folks. She said it. Think rich. Now with Jamira, thank you so much again for coming on the Hourglass Podcast. And that has been our show. Who, what, when, where, and I see you. And we up out of here. The time is now.
Thank you for listening to the Hourglass Podcast. The time is now. Shoot us an email at info@hourglasspodcasting.com to submit questions and to become a future guest. It's our time. Now, let's make the best of it.